Go
Sorry.
ahead, Ricky. Sorry, we're having some technical issues.
I think I pressed leave call. Um, I don't know, I just kind of strategizing, keeping both offices, growing both offices, and developing the guys. And it's kind of uncharted territory for me. So I was hoping you could. I don't know. I don't even know if I have a question for you, Jamie. I just wanted to kind of talk shop. I was gonna do this when I got down there, so maybe it's a conversation for in person. But I would like to get some of your, some of your suggestions and advice on doing something like that.
Well, thanks to COVID, we were all forced to figure out how to communicate better through Zoom and stuff like that. Obviously, I mean, think of how simple life used to be pre-COVID. I mean, everything was in the office. And so, for me, when I moved to Minnesota through COVID, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to open up a new office face to face in Minnesota. And I've got my other branch in Los Angeles. So I was challenged with the same thing that you're going through. I see Brennan Fulkerson, who, his distance isn't that far, but he's in, West Palm. And then he runs a remote branch up in, sorry, he's in Fort Lauderdale, and his remote office is in West Palm.
Mhm.
But I see his wires. I mean, he's got 80 grand of production in Fort Lauderdale and another 10 to 15 grand of production up in West Palm. So obviously, it can work.
Yeah.
And I guess Houston to New Orleans isn't that far apart, is it?
No, I'm about 5 hours, but no, it's not that far apart.
Yeah. Right. So if you have to drive again 5 hours, you're there. So I'd reach out to Brennan to be like, hey, so how are you doing it? How much face-to-face time are you giving your West Palm crew? I think that's a good question. And then, okay, so let's just say he says, yeah, once a week I meet up with the guys face-to-face, or once every 2 weeks. Okay, what are you doing for the rest of the time? And so there is a way to have a kick-ass Zoom culture. I mean, the best Zoom culture person in the business, in my opinion, is Rebby Sutherland. I mean, Rebby's all Zoom. You'd almost think that we're still in the masked up stage of COVID type of thing, but she's a mom. She's got a child at home. So she's like, you know what? I'm running with this thing. Oh, are you talking, Ricky? I see your lips moving. Your lips are moving, but there's no sound. Oh, and now he's gone. All right. Well, Ricky, I'm recording this, so maybe I'll send it to you. Oh, there you are, Ricky. You're on and off.
There we go. I'm so sorry, Jamie. I couldn't even hear you.
Okay, no worries. I was just saying I was recording this. I can send you the recording.
Okay, cool.
But so Rebby misses $70,000 a week wire, like, whoa, she's running an ICL at this is the peak that she's ever been at. She's never done this well running an office, and it's all remote. Here's a crazy story for you. Taylor Cherry, I'm sure that name doesn't sound familiar because he's on B2B, you're on retail. But during the pandemic, he and his wife moved to Reno, but their ICL's in Chicago. So if you follow him on Facebook, you'll see him, hiking the mountains and enjoying Lake Tahoe and all the beauty of, of Nevada. Meanwhile, his ICL is in Chicago. So, and he's doing well in Chicago. So it's not like they're suffering. So I think there's just, the question really is a combination of, okay, I need a cool Zoom structure where people can learn and grow. Again, I want to follow the trifecta. I mean, reps got to make money, they got to be having fun, and they got to feel like they're personally growing. So you can do that through Zoom. And then how much time, how often should I see these guys face to face? I'd ask Rebby, I'd ask Taylor Cherry, and I would ask Brendan Fulkerson. And so it can be done. I mean, there's no question about it. It can be done. Like Taylor Cherry's situation is a permanent situation. That's not a temporary flipping over a deal. No, he bought a house in Reno. His ICL's in Chicago. So, one of the questions I was going to, January I'm having for lots of owners is, hey, what are you doing to level up this year? And maybe where I'm going with that, because I know a lot of people are plugging into great podcasts and they're like, listen, I'm growing, I'm learning. And I think that's great. But that can't replace face-to-face networking and reaching out and touching somebody. It can't replace it. It's got to be added on to it. So, I guess where I'm going with that is, hey, listen, like, you just got to reach out to those people, call them, and just ask them, hey, Taylor, Jamie says you live in Reno. Like, how are you doing? How often do you see these guys in Chicago? So to me, it's two-part. One, what's the best way to run a killer Zoom atmosphere? And again, Brandon's got the playbook. Rebby's got the playbook. I mean, they're all over that stuff. And then how often do you go see those guys? But yeah, it's very possible. You could have a dominant crew in New Orleans and a dominant crew in Houston.
I guess I'm trying to get away from doing the whole Zoom thing. I've been doing Zoom for about 2 years, and I'm ready to get back into an office. I think that's kind of the direction I wanted to head. I just wanted to see if it was possible to figure out both of those sides without being on Zoom anymore. I think running Zoom is great. I'm tired of being on a camera and
Yeah,
not physically in front of my guys.
well, I'm with you too. I mean, I've wanted to disable my Zoom account and throw my laptop in the trash. I'm like, man, I'm zoomed out, for crying out loud. But you're lucky your crew is in good hands with Hishan too. So maybe you don't have to do Zoom. Maybe Hishan takes on the majority of the heavy lifting, and you're paying him a nice management fee to do so. And then I guess you just got to figure out the strategy. Like, what do you want to do with that crew? Can you flip a deal over to, like, is there somebody sharp enough that could run an office that you're leaving behind? Or is it like, no, they're all sales guys. Nobody's a real leader that's going to be an owner. Then maybe you work out some kind of deal with Hishan that, I don't
Yeah,
know.
me and Ashawn talk really closely. I mean, it's like one of my best friends there, but we've been throwing a lot of ideas and trying a lot of things. And yeah, it's going to take some time to figure it out. But lately, it's been kind of a struggle, man. So, I think one of our plans was kind of sit down with you and kind of go over some of these things and, figure out if there's a way we're not looking at, or an angle we're not looking at it from, that might actually, help us figure this out a little bit faster and a little bit better. But yeah, you're 100% right. Like, they're with Hayshan right now. And we're just trying to figure out how it would work, and so we can get this ball moving this year. I mean, I think individually it works, but together it's been kind of a struggle trying to get, it's technically, I've never ran two offices before, Jamie, and neither has Sean. So, it's kind of uncharted territory, but figuring it out, I think it's time to ask for the big guns and see what they got to say about it and, their thoughts on it.
Yeah. But out of that crew in New Orleans, is there somebody that's sharp enough and close enough that could run a deal?
Um, I mean, yeah, yes, I would say yes, but he still has a lot of work to do. And, that's really where Hayshan's kind of making up for the things that he lacks. But, obviously the goal would be to get him out this year. I didn't leave to shut New Orleans down. I left it so we could get somebody promoted over there. But, he still has a lot of work to do, and, it's kind of maneuvering that and making sure both sides are healthy, making sure, Hayshan, has a lot of benefits out of that, and, make sure everybody wins. And I think that's kind of the goal for both of us.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I would love to get down there with you and sit down with you, Hayshan, and kind of run over some things. That'd be awesome, man.
Well, start by pulling important data like this rep that you want to flip the deal over to, the crew in New Orleans, how they're doing, your costs. So like, is it profitable? Okay, here's the revenues, here's the cost. So it's a profitable situation. And then, how can we motivate Hishan to help out here, to help round this guy off? I mean, I got a couple creative ideas for you. I mean, that
Okay.
Sidcorp's promoting owner bonus makes it very easy to carve up plenty of win-wins.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? There's lots of money in the kitty, so there's not a lack of resources.
Deal.
Again, to me, the question is this guy worthy of being an owner? Can you get him into ownership within the first half of the year? If the answer to that's no, well, then that crew should probably just be absorbed by Hishan. If the answer is yes, well, then yeah, sure, he's your guy. You recruited him. You got him to this point. Okay, so let's look at the crew production. Let's look at what needs to be done. And let's figure out a creative way to motivate and incentivize Hishan.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Like, I think worst comes to worst, it'd be good to have it, make sure that split benefits both sides.
Yeah.
One meaning Hayshawn, one meaning, obviously Houston.
Yeah.
Cool. I appreciate it, Jamie.
Are you and Hishan both going to be in LA next week?
Hayshawn's already there. I'm
Okay.
I'm headed out on Saturday, so I definitely be seeing you for sure.
Okay, good. I'll see you on Tuesday morning.
Yeah. Do you know what you're running yet? Are you running our annual finances workshop?
Well, I was asked to run finances and I'm like, are you serious? Like, I mean, there's only so many things I can say, there's no new material. It's not like the world's changed in the last year on financial strategy and how to save money, invest, all that stuff. And so, so I pushed back a little bit on that. And so, yes, there's some new material.
Okay, I'm excited. I like it.
Yeah, there's some new material. I call it being in your business versus being on your business.
Are we ever going to do Big Bear Classics again?
Yeah, I've been surveying people. Abraham, I didn't see your response in the survey.
Is it an email?
Yeah, it was certain. I mean, I sent it last year. So again, I always look for lots of participation. I want to get everybody's brains in it. But for those that it's interesting, I mean, there's plenty of people that want to do the classic again. And then there's some that's like, well, it's kind of old. It's kind of old, especially, I mean, I think consensus says for the most part, at least people that have been in the business for a while, to have an event where there's so much debauchery going on, nah, we're over that. So I'm like, oh, I mean, I'm glad to see that. That to me is a level of maturity. I know a 23-year-old coming to the event would be like, all right, let's go, so there's always going to be some of that. The competitiveness, obviously people love that, but things like the chug and run and things like that, that's doesn't seem like it's going to float. So, but yeah, I'd like more responses, but it doesn't look like, the short answer, Abraham, is it doesn't look like we're going to do it. Didn't seem to be enough interest. But to do something, I mean, so the one piece that I think could very easily happen, again, you guys have a Top Gun coming up next week, but a Top Gun at Sidcor, there was lots of value in that from the notes. Face-to-face time with Vera and with Gary and, being at Sidcor, maybe bringing in an outside speaker that can, we had a, promoting owners meeting years ago. We did a whole class on EQ. Everybody got their, it's one thing to get your IQ measured. We all got our EQ measured. And that, I mean, we still talk about that to this day on what a great class that was and how we can all level up in our world of emotional quotient, So something like that may be happening. But yeah, more feedback. I can send you that survey again if you'd like. But I'm looking for lots of input. If we do it, what do we do? That kind of thing.
Definitely not the snow.
Not the snow? No. Yeah, we had a couple Big Bear Classics that there was snow in the ground, and that made it interesting.
I think the last one was probably the most epic one, I think. That one in Huntington Beach.
Yeah, talk about last minute pivoting. I mean, fires everywhere around us, like, oh, we better not go to Camp Shalom. No, Camp Shalom burned down. I don't know if you knew that. Didn't burn down that weekend, but the next year, Camp Shalom burned down. Yeah, I mean, considering we had to pivot, I think we did a pretty good job with that event.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, you guys, I mean, the Angus org, you guys doing that, when's the last time you guys did that? Sebastian did something similar up in like close to Sacramento. What was that?
Yeah,
Camp Augusta.
Camp
Yeah,
Augusta.
Camp Augusta.
Yeah.
How would you compare the two?
They were pretty similar, to be honest with you. They're pretty similar. Usually those events, he does have a speaker come out and really do an exercise. He's done that for our Poly trip and our Camp Augusta trip, but honestly, really similar though, Jamie. There's nothing like that kind of sticks out as the difference.
Yeah. I mean, one of the big differences from my observation with Camp Augusta, like it wasn't the competition, like one team is going to be hoisting a cup, at the end of it. So it didn't have that competitive nature. Now that might
That's true.
That might be
Yeah.
a good thing. It's like, yeah, it's good. It was just all chill. Like it wasn't like, wake up and compete versus some like, no, I want to wake up and compete. I like that. So I'm not sure, that element, whether that's one or
Yeah,
not.
Poly was more compete with yourself. There was a lot of events where you had to kind of face your fear type of thing, or it really challenged you as a person. But there wasn't a lot of me against you. It was more like you against yourself type of events.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it.
Which, if you can combine both of those, that'd be a pretty cool trip.
Yeah, that's why I'm always fishing for ideas. I mean, Sebastian said something to me a couple years ago. He's like, hey, I want to do, because I consider him one of the best at events and stuff like that. And part of his philosophy is I want an event where nobody's experienced it, something brand new. I'm like, so that's part of his secret sauce is like, give people, an event where they've never experienced it before, whether that's skydiving or whether that's, whatever unique thing you can come up with. So, and when he said that to me, I'm like, oh, maybe we should run some kind of contest where we go to Vegas and rent some Ferraris or something crazy like that and drive them around a racetrack. We've never done that, like something new. So, but again, I haven't got a lot of traction around that yet.
Well, Jamie, hate to change direction, but I had a question.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
So it seems for me, and my team right now, I'm kind of having I'm having a hard time finding a standard that is an actual standard that I feel comfortable, firing people for, or praising people for hitting it. And reason being is because I have majority of the people in my office not hitting the standard that I set. And we had some campaign changes, and I didn't really change too much around the standard. And I don't know if maybe that was oh my goodness, this guy just hit my car.
Oh shit. That's
with his door, but I hope it's okay. But what do you what would you suggest for just me when it comes to finding a standard that I feel comfortable with, and like what's like, I know a 2-week time frame, but like I'm like sometimes I get confused on like what works for everyone else. Is it like the first week, if we don't hit this standard, do you have next week to hit it or you're done? Or is it like you don't hit it the first 2 weeks, and then that third week you don't hit it, you're done? And I'm having a really tough time finding like the right balance of something that I can write down and put on paper that I can just implement to where I don't have to think or use my emotion, or it doesn't matter how much I like you. I'm running into that a lot.
What campaign are you on, Gary?
Spectrum.
Okay. So ironically, I just had this conversation with Stephen Reif yesterday. So your counterpart on Spectrum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be in Phoenix on Tuesday?
Yeah, yeah, anything going there, yeah.
Okay. You may want to reach out to Stephen Reif and maybe meet up a little early or something like that, like show up at 8:30, because he asked Sebastian, Fareed, and me the question. There was alignment around that, but again, it was all about standards. So what should the standard be for, like, okay, to be in good standings and work here? What should the standard be to be a leader? And what should the standard be to be like an alpha, where you're training other people, you're onboarding people, whatever? And short answer from my perspective is, we took the dollar amounts out of the equation because, again, of all the changes that have happened on Spectrum, and we just
Mhm.
put it down to like number of apps, number of yeses. So the
Yeah.
short answer is it's 5, 7, and 10.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, what's the worst case scenario? Guy closes 5 apps and it's the lowest, the cheapest commission. And he was like, it's 505, let's say 550, something like that. And I'm like, well, how much you got to pay him? Well, I got to pay him like 580. So little bit of a loss, but again, 1 a day, guys can do that. I get it. Okay, getting into leadership 7, and then being an alpha 10. So again, took all the dollars out of it, just total number of apps that need to be sold. As the campaign changes and morphs, let it be. It's still 5, 7, and 10. And so he kind of modeled that out. He vetted that out. And so he's running with it. So I'd spend some time getting into the weeds with Stephen Reif on Spectrum and the new standard that he's come up with.
Yes, sir. That's actually funny you mentioned that, 'cause I called him last night on my way home, and that's actually what he mentioned. And I just wanted to make sure, and that's just something I was kind of migrating to, and that's how I kind of started out. And I kind of, like, after getting feedback and seeing what everybody else was doing, and and now we're just like moving back. So like, it was helpful just like reaching out for him. But yeah, and he kind of just said to like assess where everybody's at, and that's what I kind of wasn't doing, but just wanted to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah, he's asked this exact same question you have. He's vetted it out. And again, he took 3 resources, again, Sebastian, Fareed, me. We all echoed the same thing. So I'm like, be a lot trickier if, like, well, Sebastian says A, Fareed says B, and Hepp says C. Now I'm really confused. What should I do? But we all like, yeah, let's run with this playbook. So yeah, he's got a lot of confidence behind it, and I would expect some great results in Mr. Reif's business.
Nice. Well, I'm kind of behind it too after discussing one. It kind of made some sense. So I'll let you guys know how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, but show up early. I'll be there early myself.
Yes, sir. Get there early.
Don't have to tell you to be early. You're an athlete.
Right. Yeah. 15 minutes or you're late.
15 minutes or you're late. Exactly. Obviously, you've been watching the Damar Hamlin situation. So what's your perspective on that?
On how they did the game and everything like that, or like,
No, just like what the heck happened? Like, is that kind of scary stuff for like anybody who's a football player? Is that just so freak? Like, dude, that never happens. Nobody should have
well,
any concern.
I will say, like, I play, like, when I played, like, I was more of a person who was like actively aware of like head energies, and like my head reacted very, very fast to, like, say if I got somebody 20 pounds heavier than me, my head would let me know, and I would get a quick ring it, you know what I mean? And it would tell me like to don't tackle with your head. And that just takes me back to my freshman year in high school when I actually caused the fumble and somebody hit the top of my head, and I literally blacked out on the field, and I woke up in the middle of the play, and I was catching an interception, and I kept asking everybody, like, what city were we in? What are we doing? Like, are we winning? Did I score a touchdown? Everybody thought I was joking, and I did not know where I was at until like I started reading the names on my jersey. So when I seen Damar Hamlin, that happened to him, I was like, oh, it is scary, you know what I mean? And I don't know, like, I'd probably be like a little bit over and done, with it after that. Like, I had my time, I played, I did it, you know what I mean? Now it's time to learn from it, but everybody's different, but I don't think that's a coincidence, because I'm not a fan of the head trauma, and I get headaches quick if you hit me. So like, I'm a low tackler. If you see me play football, Jamie, I'm going at your ankles and your knees, and it's because I'm not gonna, I'm not trying to have a harder head than you. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's just how the game is played. And I don't think you can change tackling, you know what I mean? Or you can change competing because like when somebody's in front of you, I feel like the runner has the advantage always. Like they can just put their head down and fall forward and gravity is going to be in their favor. So it's always going to be a little bit more dangerous for a defender.
And so
Hey, who knows?
he got hit right on the chest. Is that kind of what, like how, I mean, he had a cardiac arrest. I mean, his heart stopped right after.
Yeah, straight chest hit.
I saw it too. Yeah, I was just like, gee.
Yeah, I remember years ago in hockey, there was a Chris Pronger. He was a defenseman. A puck hit him in the chest, and he collapsed mid-game as well too. And so I don't know if he had a cardiac arrest, but I mean, it was a scary situation where everybody's like, "What the heck just happened here?" You know, he didn't get hit in the head; he got hit in the chest, and so I think they had to, resuscitate him as well too back in the day.
Yeah, I think if you're one of those guys, I think you should just let it go. I think it's worth it.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, if you love the game, I love the game too, but
Yeah. Well, it certainly brought some attention to, I mean, there's all kinds of people like, oh, the vaccine. I mean, there's that whole narrative going on. And then there's the whole doctor saying there's something about the electrical something, like the timing of that hit, just like bad luck right there. But it sure exposes the inherent risk of football for sure. I mean, you are risking something every time you put those cleats on.
yeah, and it can't even be like I said, it's just to the chest. Didn't even have to be to the head anymore. We didn't know that. So I mean, like maybe there should be some. I feel like if you're playing at that level or even college, there should be something in place just in case something does like that happen. Especially if people love the game, that doesn't mean you need to stop because it's like, it's a little dangerous, I think. But if you're playing at that type of level, you should have some type of, insurance, or something. But there probably is, but I know somebody was talking about it was like he didn't play enough time, but maybe they should, get better with that system.
Oh, totally. I had a rep years ago. He played with the Packers for 4 years. And he said that the severance, the retirement in the NFL was 4 years and 2 weeks, 4 years and 2 games. So because he was just under the 4 years plus 2 weeks, he didn't qualify for the medical. He didn't qualify for the severance, the retirement. And I'm like, he was left high and dry, but they knew their law of averages. Like, the average career in the NFL is 4 years. So for all those guys that are 4 years or less, you're on your own, buddy. Like there's nothing for you.
Yeah, you got to do it. Yeah, full college term, 4 years.
Yeah.
2 game.
Yeah. Crazy.
Ooh. But if it's that close, like I understand maybe 3 years and 8, but like 4 years and 2 games, like I at least get like 50% of what you were going to give me with the 2, like something.
No, he got nothing.
Really no deal.
All right, gents. Well, I'll be there bright and early on Tuesday. I'll be there around 8:30. I think it all starts at 9:30 or something like that.
Yes, sir.
So I look forward to seeing you guys. We'll have a great time, a nice little party, and we'll make this a great Top Gun.
Sounds good, man. Look forward to seeing you too, Jamie.
All right. Happy New Year, guys. All the best this year.
Yes,
See you, Ricky. See you Tuesday, brother.
See you, Gary. Check you out.